Well, everyone, welcome to the call, and I have such a great guest that I'm not going to chat as I always do on these calls and give you a lot of background. I think the call that you will hear tonight is going to cover everything for all of you. It is a generational call, and when I realize generational, it's that a mother, a daughter, and a granddaughter are using the JC Tonic. And you will hear why that's such a good idea. I thought I was the only person that was three generational. My father, myself, and my two daughters are drinking it. But here we go. And so, Teresa, come on down and just tell everybody everything you can to give them as much great information that they can use in their own families.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Anthony, for giving me the honor and opportunity to share what JC Tonic has done for me and my family and our lives. And so I'm just happy to share a little bit about my story. I didn't realize how unique the generational thing was when I said it to you, but you identified.
Well, I didn't realize it either.
Right, but, upon reflection, I guess family is so precious to me, and anything that we can hold on to for generations, we always kind of have done that. We try to pass on, and I seek out things from my mom or my grandmother or my great-grandmother that may have worked for them, and this was really no different. It's kind of the way our family behaves. It's a value system that we have, and JC Tonic's in the middle of it. My mom was introduced to JC Tonic well over 20 years ago. I'll say about 25 years ago, and then she became an ambassador herself about 22 years ago. At first, when you asked me about some befores and after, I was struggling with that because I was introduced to it so young. So I wasn't starting from a place of trying to fix an issue as much as I trusted my mom. She was using it as a really busy healthcare professional. She was a nurse in MSICU and on her feet a lot and caring for a lot of sick patients. And she just always believed in kind of home care, whatever she could cook or do or provide for us as kids to help keep us well was always just kind of a philosophy she had. So working in the healthcare field, one of the things that she always impressed upon us is it's best to not have to get caught up in it in the first place. So she and my sister, who became a pharmacist later, both believed so strongly in that we just always tried to do more preventative, more proactive things. And should we get the occasional sickness or cold, we tried to do what we could do first without engaging medicines or other chemicals that our bodies might become dependent on. So enter JC Tonic when I was 25 years old. I was graduating from college, had gone on to get my master's degree, and my mom saw me working my tail off in graduate school, pulling the late night hours in school and working all day long. And she said, hey, listen, I want you to try adding this tonic to your routine. And I have to be honest, when I first took that ounce, I thought I was going nuts. My body went crazy initially. And I said, I don't know. That's quite the shot to take first time a day. But I remember you explaining to my mom all the different wonderful ways you could incorporate it and how your body would eventually get used to incorporating these wonderful minerals and herbs into your system. And I'm telling you, it didn't take long. I used to mix it with water, used to mix it with juice, and now I like it no other way than straight up with a little bit of water chaser, and I've been taking it every single day from the time I was introduced, with the exception of 2 occasions, and I'll tell you about that. The first, I just couldn't believe that this was doing everything that I always heard everyone saying that it was doing for them. Like I said, I wasn't coming from a before and after situation. I didn't have a problem. I was a very energetic 25-year-old just doing work, starting my career and all of those things. And I thought, gosh, it's kind of expensive. Maybe I can nip and tuck here and there, and maybe this thing can go. So I said, I'm not going to take the tonic for a little while and just see how things go. I'm telling you, Anthony, it wasn't 1 week before I realized, gosh, why am I so sluggish today? Or why am I having such a hard time focusing right now? I could not figure it out. And then it dawned on me that I stopped taking the tonic. So it's one of those things that eases into your body. It just kind of flows so well with the way our systems work. It's not a jarring situation where when I say it gives me energy, it's not a spike of energy. It's more like a sustained endurance. And that's the first thing I noticed. I noticed that I was feeling more fatigued after staying up and studying all night, or I noticed that I was just not quite as focused and sharp as I had been. I reintroduced the tonic right away, borrowed some from my mom, and I'm telling you, I just didn't need anyone to tell me from that day forward what it could do for me or that I needed to have it as part of my routine. It was like brushing my teeth in the morning. It's not something I just wouldn't do. So I just decided then and there to do it. And I said I would tell you both times I did that. And then second, fast forward many, many years, I was getting ready to have my first baby, and I was of advanced age, as they put it in the healthcare system. I felt great, though. I was 38 years old. They had been warning me about my eggs dying and all of this sort of stuff. But it was the right time for my husband and I to start a family, and I was concerned a little bit about that. And I said, hey, everything out of my, you start thinking about everything that you're putting in your body. And while I understood that the tonic was perfectly safe for me, I think I gave you a phone call. I don't know if you recall this, but I believe I gave you a phone call and said, hey, look, I'm getting ready to have a baby. I'm pregnant, and I'm just wanting to know if it's okay for me to still take the tonic. And you told me it was perfectly fine. And so I think I might have...
I also told you that my wife was 38 when we had our first child.
I know that's another thing we had in common, and it was so helpful. You made me feel so much more comfortable doing it because, when you're pregnant, the last thing you need is to be stressed out about anything. Stress is more harmful than anything. So once I kind of felt really confident about that, I shared it with my doctor, and trust me, my doctor was asking me about the tonic before it was too long, because as a 38-year-old coming in there and them putting on my chart that I'm of advanced age, it was honestly laughable. I said, well, I feel great at this advanced age having this baby.
Doctor didn't try and tell you not to drink it?
Oh, of course he tried that because, it's all about them mitigating any risk on their end. But he couldn't make me not take it. I continued on taking it. I did take it at half dose initially just because I wanted to try it out, and I was always a proponent. My mom just said, well, take it, see how you feel. How you feel is the litmus test. And honestly, I felt great. And the fatigue that can sometimes come when you get on up in your pregnancy, I just didn't feel as horrible as some of my friends and colleagues as they got into their 7th, 8th, and 9th month. I remember my grandmother passing, and we were doing a homegoing celebration, and the family asked me at 7 months pregnant to go up and speak on behalf of the whole family. I felt that great. I was 7 months pregnant, standing next to a cousin of mine who was 3 months pregnant, both of us up there with our bellies, pouring out our love and appreciation for the life my grandmother lived. And I never skipped a beat. I flew there. I flew back to where I was from. And I honestly think that I know that the routine that I had for so many years before and during my pregnancy was helped by JC Tonic, for sure.
I'm sure I told you the story when we spoke, Teresa. I am absolutely certain that my wife was 38. She had started her own business when she was 23. She didn't miss a beat. She worked. She was at her office the day the bag broke and the water broke, and we went to the hospital. That she had that kind of a pregnancy, the way you're describing it. Not a blimp, no morning sickness, no lack of energy, no sluggishness, was able to do a regular day, just like you did. And I know now it's because of the tonic. There's no question.
No question. I mean, and then I went on to have a second baby. I had my second baby at 41.
Yeah, I heard that baby at 41.
Oh, that is so hilarious. So the two beautiful daughters that I have today, yeah, they were 3 years apart and 3.5 years apart, and I had both those pregnancies. And I dare say my pregnancy at 41 was even better than my pregnancy at 38 because your first pregnancy, you have a lot of, you're listening to a lot about what to expect about pregnancy, and you're bracing yourself for all these different things. But at 41, I was confident enough about the experience that I'd had with my first baby and was a little less anxious about it. And so I was just able to really enjoy that pregnancy so much, even at 41. I've gone on to encourage other women who are of so-called advanced age who hadn't had their first baby yet to go for it. And I have shared what my routines are. And I don't even think about it sometimes because it's such a part of my routine. You don't go sharing with people that you brushed your teeth this morning. So I just, I take my tonic and I keep it moving. And that's been the great thing. But when someone asks or they might compliment me on something or they might say, wow, you did such a good job through that pregnancy, then that's when I start sharing with them all the things that led up to feeling like I was so well supported with the routine that I had, and JC Tonic was right in the middle of all of that. Those were the only 2 times in my life that I took a pause, just being super cautious, or the first time concerned about cost. But boy, do I know now. Cost is a matter of value, and the JC Tonic, it really is invaluable. I also, as a professional, am a global marketing executive, and I can tell you when it comes to products, sometimes products come and go. As a consumer, I'm a very brand loyal person because I know what goes into a high quality brand and product. And so I always say to myself, oh my goodness, I hope this JC Tonic never leaves this earth. I cannot imagine my life. I cannot imagine a substitute. You might be able to find a substitute for your dishwashing liquid or maybe your milk, but there's no substitute. And so I hope it never leaves this earth. Because I've gone on to introduce it to my kids. I called you again on this one because when my kids were so young, I nursed both pregnancies. I nursed my babies, and I was blessed enough to be able to do that and go to work, and because I knew it would be the best possible start for their bodies.
And you're on JC Tonic.
Yeah, you got it. And so I was like, they're saying, what you're eating is very important. It transfers right to the baby. So I just kept on taking my tonic because I knew that the transfer of that to them would be healthy for their gut and healthy for their bodies. And when they were old enough, right away I started, as long as they could swallow and hold a cup and drink on their own, I started putting just the tiniest little bit of JC Tonic in. And now my kids, they do not like to water down their tonic. They like to drink it straight up. They take it every morning. It's part of their routine. We don't even discuss it other than, did you take your tonic? Did you take your tonic? It's the tonic, their daily vitamin, and then we're off and running.
Super. Wow.
And they are now 12 and 9. And I'm certain I started my first daughter probably at around 3. Other than because she was nursing up until she was 2. So, we started incorporating it with her taking it on her own, about 1/4 of an ounce and then 1/2 an ounce, and now she's the oldest and she takes a full ounce.
That story you just told is the identical story that we did at home. My wife was in exactly the same age. The same thing happened, and we started the children on it as soon as they could drink, and we put a few drops in the bottle, and then it's exactly the same thing. What a great, and it shows, doesn't it, in your health, in your mother's health, and in your daughter's health.
Yes, my mom is so actively engaged with all of her grandchildren. She has 11 grandchildren and now 1 great-grandchild, and she is such a super important part of all of our lives because she's so active. She's so active in their lives. My mom turned 76 this year. We had a big family celebration on her 75th birthday last year. We were still kind of doing Zoom calls and not gathering in big groups on the back end of the pandemic, but we were all there, and she lives with me now because I'm the last of 5 children. My mom had 5 kids, the last of 5 children to have my own children, and she moved right in with me and has been the glue to help hold our family together because of her ability to still be so active. She has taught my children how to garden from a very, very young age. And I'll never forget, she was just doing a little patio garden with my daughter, who was only 2.5, maybe 3. She was walking, and she was showing her how to just plant some herbs on the deck. And she sent me a picture while I was at work. I think I was traveling, and so she would send me pictures all the time, so I didn't miss a beat for my child growing up and the little everyday things that you miss when you're a mother who's working. And I saw my daughter just covered in dirt from head to toe, planting, and I thought in that moment, thank God I have a mom who feels well enough, to do those kinds of things with my kids. And now they're pretty avid gardeners, planting tomatoes, canning tomatoes, doing all the things that I wouldn't have had a chance to teach them. And another generational thing that will pass on to my kids because my mom feels healthy enough. She has her days. We all do. I won't say we're void of any illnesses. My kids go to school and come home with a bug here and there, but they are fine so quickly. If we do catch something and it flows through the house, we double up on our tonic and we get through it really quickly.
That is just, what a great message to give to everyone. And if people would do that, they would have exactly the same experience as you had with your mom and you and the family and growing up. And just think of all the trouble they could avoid. The hospitals, the doctor appointments, the medications, lining up at the drugstore, lining up at the doctors, and that's all I hear all day long from people. And it's so simple if they would drink this like you have. Wow, that is such a great message.
Yeah, I have to tell you, my toughest customer, but I wasn't trying to necessarily sell him on it. It's just my husband was the last convert. Now,
did you have to tie him up or what?
I would have liked to, but because he doesn't love to cook, whoever is cooking your food and serving you food, they kind of have a leg up on you, because I would just sit it right in front of him, and he would eat anything I put in front of him. And I said, well, I'm just going to pour this tonic in this 1 ounce thing, and I'm going to tell him to take it with his medicine in the morning. And, at first he was like, what in the world is this? And I hate to say this because I don't want to make a blemish at all on the beautiful JC Tonic, but this was my husband's point of view. He said, hey, listen, I'm not taking the snake oil, Teresa. I said, snake oil? What are you talking about? He was like, what is it? I said, it's tonic, and you've watched me take it for years every single day. He said, oh, yeah, but I don't need it. So you have to know, my husband is typical athlete. He's a runner. He loves lifting weights. He used to play football. He thinks he's got his routine down. He is healthy as a horse. He also works in a very physically demanding job, and he is getting older. And when he turned 40, I said, maybe you should just think about incorporating this, because you no longer have time to run as much as you did and lift as many weights as you did. He works in a manufacturing facility as an engineer, and he's on his feet for 12 and 14 hours a day. And so I knew it would be beneficial, and I didn't want him to wait because he also hates the doctors. So he doesn't ever want to do anything that sends him to the doctor in the first place. So I said, you know what, this is going to benefit you a lot. You don't ever want to wait to have an issue to get started. So it was a little bit of coaxing him along with it at first. And now, you know what, we don't even discuss it. He takes it every single morning, and he is now 52 years old, and he stands on his feet 14 hours a day.
Well, Teresa, he may have fought it, but he also knows that it's been a tremendous help. It doesn't matter how athletic and sharp and smart we are and in good shape at 40, the body breaks down, mind breaks down, everybody's breaking down.
Right.
And whose is going to break down faster and whose can break down slower. And the JC Tonic consumers, it breaks down slower. So his body is already experiencing that.
Yes, he used to have such a sore back. When he'd come home, he'd be complaining about his back all the time. And I haven't said a word because I don't want to even bring it to his attention, but he rarely complains about his back being sore anymore.
Wow, that is...
Rarely complains about it. And I know that it's working because if it weren't, there's no way he'd be taking it every day. He does not even think twice about it. He takes it every morning, and we go on about our business. So for my children to see their mom and their dad and their grandmother, they have no idea that they're doing something special for themselves. It's a way of life for them.
That is the key, a way of life, part of the grocery bill.
You got it. You got it. And I tell you, we all have felt the pinch of the tough and challenging economic times. And if you're smart, you're probably looking at your budgets. You're probably deciding, well, what can go? What's a nice to have and what's a have to have? Never, ever would I put JC Tonic on my list of cuts. Something else would have to go. It's far too valuable. It more than pays for itself in health and happiness and the ability to engage in life. I mean, we know we're saving money on our produce because we have been avid gardeners. And with the shutdown from the pandemic, my kids and mom and I had more time to do our gardening. We were able to plant more things. We had such an abundance of tomatoes and greens and cucumbers. That's how we saved our money. We started learning how to can all those things and put it away. And we said, hey, that's where we're going to save because we're definitely not cutting out a tonic. That's not going to happen.
Good for you, and what a great message to send out, because people fritter away $10 a day on all kinds of stuff that they can live without. They stop for gas and they go in the convenience store and buy a bar and a soda. I mean, you can live without those things, and that few dollars can make sure you have tonic flowing every day in your home, Wow, that's a great message. This whole call is so great, people will stand up at attention and listen, because all they have to do is implement a half of what you have, and they'll already change their lives.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm just so grateful to have found it as early as I did, and to know for myself, to do the test myself, when I stopped taking it, to see the difference in my energy, in my mental focus. I call it stick-to-itiveness to my kids. You need to take your time because you're not being very focused. It gives you just the energy, the mental focus and clarity to stick to something. And nothing big, just everyday tasks of life. This morning before our call, I've already washed 4 loads of clothes, made breakfast for my family, cleaned up a few things, took some notes for another project that I'm doing, and I just went from one task to the next feeling very focused at what I was doing, and I know it's the tonic. It gives me just this thing I call stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah. Boy, that is good. Holy cow. What a great experience that you've had over all those, it's over 20 years now.
Yeah, definitely been over 20 years. I believe the person who introduced my mom to it, my mom was taking it for a few years before she herself became an ambassador, and then we both became ambassadors pretty close to, like you said, the same time. So 25 years probably in total. I'm 51 now.
You're 51?
And yes, I'm 51. And I still get carded in the grocery store. I used to get mad at that.
Like a youngster. Boy, oh boy.
No, I'm 51 years old. And like I said, people don't believe me, but when I go through the facts, I had my first child at 38 and my second at 41. I'm one of the oldest parents at my kids' schools, but no one would believe it. The kids just do not believe it. And they're like, your mom's so fun. Your mom's got so much energy. Your mom, And my kids, they don't know that they have an older mom. They have no idea because it's all they've known.
Yeah, but the other mothers are probably in their 30s.
Yes, they're in their 30s. My kids' teachers are in their 30s. The oldest ones are in their 40s. And I don't make it a habit of, they probably don't even know how old I am. I'll tell you what, though, when I was in my 40s, I used to think, look, I'm a grown woman. Please do not be carding me in the store because I want to buy a bottle of champagne. I used to get quite perturbed that I had to go back out to the car to get my driver's license. And like after 45, I just smile and grin when they ask me for my card. This one manager at a store asked me for my card, and he was like, well, I have to have your card if you look anywhere even close to your 20s or 30s. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I gave him my card, and when he looked at it, he didn't believe me. I was like, that's right, I'm old enough to be your mom.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. And does that make you feel good? Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
It does. It makes me comfortable.
And on the label, it's smart, the youth solution, because indeed, what you've just said is what has happened to everybody who's been drinking this for 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years. They look younger, they feel younger, they have more energy, and no one gives them their age. Absolutely splendid.
And start sooner. I mean, my goodness, I didn't know the gift my mom was giving me until 20 years later, because I wasn't having issues with my skin. It was tight and supple. I was young looking in the face. And when I take pictures now and send out to my family or my friends, and they all say, they're like, you never age. Like, you're not aging. What are you doing? It's like, you look exactly the same in your face as you looked before, and that's insane. And I never really, you never look at yourself necessarily the same as others see you. You watch the passage of time, and of course, I notice myself the occasional, thing that looks a little bit older to me. But to someone who hasn't seen me in 20 years, or to, family and friends, when we send out family pics or something like that, folks that have known me all my life, they just say, oh my goodness, you never age.
Isn't that really so great, though? But even when they realize that, they don't make the decision to start drinking the tonic. That is the saddest part of all. They see it, they know it, they believe it, it's with their own eyes, but they hesitate to make the decision. I have a family member who I've been trying for 30 years to get to drink the tonic. Oh, Anthony, come on. And she was a highfalutin nurse and knew all the medical stuff. And I saw her after a number of years. I didn't see her, but a couple of years ago I did, and she looked at me. First thing she said, are you still drinking that crap? I'm like, yep, I'm still drinking the crap. She said, holy smokes. If you look like you look at 83 years old, I want to start drinking it. And she started drinking it right away. Took me 30 years, but she did it because I looked 20 years younger.
Isn't that amazing?
So
it's amazing, You just have to live your life. Your life is the testimony, and if people are interested in doing something positive for themselves, they'll hear you, they'll see you, and then when they're ready, they'll go for it.
And even the ones that say, well, my budget doesn't permit it, we have that ambassadorship that all you have to do is share a few bottles here and there and you can drink free, So there's no reason why people can't just share it with the family and friends and earn enough commissions that their own supply is covered every month,
I know.
But it's hard. But a call like this that you've just done is really all-encompassing, and it's going to help a lot of people make that decision, Teresa. So tell me more. What else?
Well, my goodness, I'm very happy to be able to share those things. Those were really the things that I wanted to share. The biggest high points in my life was getting through my pregnancies without having to skip a beat in my life, and watching my children grow up and be strong and healthy, get over bugs and illnesses quickly and move on. I did have one, like I said, we still have the occasional bout with an illness here and there, and I have both my daughters actually had abnormally large tonsils. They were kind of born with that, and as they grew up, their tonsils became a little bit of an issue with sleeping at night or breathing well. They were snorers. I thought they just got it from their dad, he's a snorer. And as we were going on to their wellness checkup every year, one of my children's pediatricians suggested that she might want to go to a ear, nose, and throat doctor to take a look at the enlarged tonsils that she had and whether she would benefit from having her tonsils removed. So that's another important intersection for how I think JC Tonic helped us come out successfully on the other end of having to have that experience. So many children have to have their tonsils removed, and it's quite a surgery. And on the other end, the healing process tends to get worse before it gets better. My first daughter had her tonsils removed when she was 4.5 years old, and my second daughter just had her tonsils removed, and she's 9. We were planning to get it done a little earlier, but with the pandemic, it was one of those surgeries they didn't think had to be done necessarily right away. So they both got through the healing process tremendously well on the other end. And I know it's because they already had tonic as part of their daily routines. And one of the first things I did with my daughter was water the tonic down really well and allow her to do some of her throat gargles with it as she was healing on the other side of the tonsillectomy and adenoidectomy that she had. And we just went to the doctor actually yesterday for her post-op checkup. They said she's doing fabulous. Her throat is healing well. She's feeling well. She's back at school. She's still healing, but she's healed tremendously fast from a surgery that can take months for some people. Adults heal a lot slower than kids throughout that process, and I do think that my kids had a much easier time getting through that because tonic is a part of their daily routine.
You absolutely are 100% correct, and you know, it's funny you bring this up. I had mine removed when I was 14. I had started drinking the tonic when I was 11, and I remember the first couple of days it was only ice cream, but after that with the tonic, I mean, I was up and at 'em in 4 days. Nobody could understand, and others who were having those kind of surgeries would be out of commission for 2 weeks.
Yes. I mean, even today they require it. They require you to have 14 days off of school and all those things, but like you said, 4 or 5 days into it, my daughter was feeling more like herself, able to eat things that she wanted. We kept it soft out of precaution, but it definitely was the fact that she had the tonic as a part of that continuous routine. And she was the only kid. Let me tell you this. We were in the pre-surgical room they put you in before they get the kids ready to be rolled back. The only tear my daughter shed was on her way to surgery when they told her that I couldn't go any further, and she had to go through those 2 double doors. She was so scared without having a family member with her. She got through that. That was the only tears I heard from my daughter. We got back into the surgical waiting room. We were waiting for them to bring her back to us, and we kept hearing all these kids who had gotten their surgeries finished going on into their rooms. And I'm telling you, every kid that came back, when they came around from the anesthesia, they were all crying and wailing. This one kid, they just could not calm him down. He was just crying and wailing. I don't want to have my tonsils taken out. Of course, the tonsils were already gone by then, but the kids came back just wailing, and they were just so difficult to comfort. My daughter came back. She woke up groggy. She was like, when are they going to take me? The tonsils are gone, baby. They're all gone. You're done. She never cried. She never wailed. She never cried. We were there to comfort her. That was the thing. She was just missing being with her family. But she never cried. They brought her a popsicle. They've changed it now. You can't have all the ice cream you want. I was telling my kids, you can have all the ice cream you want. And now it's all the popsicles you want. I guess they found out that dairy isn't necessarily the most helpful thing because it builds up a little bit of mucus. So now you can...
No. It's because the popsicles are cheaper.
Maybe that's it. Popsicles are cheaper. The hospital brought her a popsicle right away. And so maybe you're right because they broke it in half. I was like, oh, can she have a whole popsicle? Come on.
That was it.
That was it. It was the cost. You're probably right. So she had a popsicle. We took some pictures, and that was it. We were out of there in 3 or 4 hours from the start of her surgery to afterwards. They didn't have to keep her. They didn't need to monitor her. She didn't have any difficulties in the healing process. A couple of days of grogginess, and we were off and running.
It's a super story, Teresa. What a super story. I know you can go on for another hour. I'm not going to do that, but this call is so great because it covers so many aspects of a family and how a family can stay healthy. And boy, you covered it really magnificently.
Thank you for allowing me to share that. I really appreciate being able to share it, and I hope that it does help someone not wait for the issue or a problem to start now. Wherever in your life you start to incorporate it, it can only get better from there.
Wow, thank you so very much. Folks, there we are. Teresa, thank you again, and we will make sure we spread this around. And don't forget, if you do have before and after pictures, send them along, and we'll send them out when we email this call to everyone. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks a lot. All right.
Thank you.
Bye for now. So, everyone, I didn't say very much at the beginning of the call, and I have not very much to say now at the end of the call. What a call. Holy smokes. So, listen to it again. Think about it. Think about your family, your husband, your mate, your wife, your children, your grandma, your grandpa. Make it a family affair. I think this is indicative of just how good things can be. And look at that. She's still being carded at the booze store. Imagine. 51, and they're asking for your card? Talk about a youth solution. Well, as I mentioned earlier on the call, the youth solution is written on the bottle. It is a youth solution. I am getting comments that I look 20 years younger, but so does everyone who's been drinking it for 5, 10, 20, 30 years. They all are told they don't look their age. You can be one of these people, and the worse things get in the world, the more important it'll be to have your energy, your youthfulness, and good health. So on that note, thank you very much for being on the call, and we will email it out to you shortly. See you next time. In the meantime, remember, you take an ounce and you feel the bounce. Bye for now.
Grad Classic Whole Body Tonic is a dietary supplement, not a drug. Therefore, it is useful to affect the structure and or function of your body in various ways. But it is not intended to and will not cure, mitigate, treat, or prevent any disease. Individual testimonials may not be representative of everyone's experience and do not constitute scientific evidence. Grad Corporation does not make any drug or treatment claims for its product.